count every major botnet outbreak as one of them, from Zeus to everything else. It's advanced, it's persistent, and there's a sentient creature behind that botnet somewhere.
I guess so I'll define it a little further.
Sure.
It would be almost always zero-day attacks, things that haven't been seen before, things that haven't been seen in the wild, and things that probably aren't in botnets. It's designed to target a very specific company or a specific setting. And it clearly had enough coding behind it that it was more than one or two people.
Did everybody hear that? No. It's a 0-day, things are seen in the wild. It's, I guess, military grade or weapons grade kind of thing, and they're after a very particular target. It's unique in that particular way. I guess for myself, I don't see those that often. I see the monetization bad guys. Usually not guys that are going after a defined target with command and control. That's not me, but it's more monetization, but maybe these guys.
Yeah, I would say I see a lot more monetization than I see actual military for that. And it is extremely targeted. I actually know the guys, by the way. They know exactly what they're going after. They know exactly what they're going to go attack. They spend maybe months even researching these problems. They're intimate with these businesses. They've actually told me they've had meetings with the companies that they're attacking, creating back deals and channels so that they can kind of see what's happening on both sides of the fence. They're very sophisticated. They'll spend a lot of money trying to research this because they make 7 digits a month on this stuff. So it's worth it to spend a little extra money and time to go and meet with the people in person. And yeah.
Okay, so why don't we let the panelists do a little wrap up, a minute or two, and then we'll wrap it up here.
I got to go first. Maybe just as a wrap up for general trends, just on top of this APT question. So first of all, this just with the panel, I'm all with you with this APT term. This term really came about after Google announced they were attacked by something that was called Aurora or Hydrack. And if we use that as the model for an APT, it really fits sort of the definition here, 0 days for monetization, attacking a particular company for, let's call it intellectual property or stuff like this. So if we talk about general trends, look, the general trend today, right now, I would say, is monetization of users. Stealing credit card numbers off users' machines, stealing online bank accounts, installing pay-per-install software on people's machines, installing rogue antivirus software that tricks you into paying them $50 to install it, to which they tell you now you can uninstall it because you're not infected anymore with their own thing. And I think that is definitely going to start to shift, or at least that will become the background noise that everyone knows about, that's just the random stuff that everyone knows about, sort of like spam is today. Everyone gets spam today and no one really cares too much, and it's just there. And what the sort of the next big thing will be, and the thing that we'll constantly see in the media reports, will be sort of, I think, what you define as APTs. And it's not necessarily because I think they're necessarily even increasing in volume, maybe they are, but I think they are increasing in visibility. I think people are talking about them more. Look, what Google did was very brave. This stuff has been going on, and no one ever talks about it. And Google came out and said, look, we were attacked. These attackers used the 0-day. They tried to get specific intellectual property, in particular some email account information, off of our systems. And suddenly, all these other companies said, we were attacked with a similar thing, attacking very similar intellectual property stuff. And they all suddenly came out of the woodwork. So I think we'll see increased visibility on this kind of stuff for sure.
So I'm just going to try and wrap up on the whole panel. I thought it was really interesting this morning. There were some differences between what Cheng-Si and I were talking about, but I'm really more interested in the commonalities, because both she and I have a vision of a future where people focus on positive security, verifying that there is actually security there rather than poking holes in things and trying to measure insecurity. And I believe that's a small movement that we're right at the beginning of, and that there will be a shift, because it's very inefficient to do the negative poking style. And as the need for security goes forward, we're going to have to move to a more positive approach. And I'm optimistic that will be a major sea change in our industry, and that we'll actually start making progress and improving the security of things. So I try to be realistic about the state of the world as it is today, but I'm optimistic about where we can be if we all sort of work together. So that's where I leave it.
Ignorance is bliss, right? I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing. I'm just kidding. That's the end of the panel,
All right,
right?
it's on.
They didn't have beer, so I got to, so the only thing I hate trying to talk about the future. I'm just really bad at it. But so this morning I went and looked at datablostdb.org. I don't know, how many guys actually check that site out ever? Yeah, a couple? Good. I hadn't looked at it in about a year, so I decided it's about time, so I went and looked at it. And I saw a pretty odd thing. It was really trending down. And like pretty significantly. If you go, you can just eyeball it. It's definitely on a downward trend. And this could mean all kinds of things. It could mean that it's being underreported. It could mean that people are freaked out and they don't want to report. It could mean that they're being attacked less. I have a feeling it's just that they're not talking about it. I don't think that people are getting attacked less. I don't think that things are getting lost and stolen less. I think that people are just talking about it less. And I think this goes back to a chilling effect across the industry. So I respectfully disagree that there's going to be more stuff in the news about this. Maybe more compared to the one incident that we've heard about, but certainly not a dramatic increase. I think if anything, it's going down. I think people are really worried about public perception in the age of social media and collective thinking. I just don't see it. Certainly, it's trending the other direction if that's what we're talking about.
Oh, what to say? I guess maybe a little different than what everybody else has said. Web security, we're not going to get it perfect, right? We're not going to make perfect software. We're not going to write perfect tools, to make either perfect software or to find all the vulnerabilities at all times. But fortunately, nor do we need to. We have to continue to find that good enough benchmark. And anybody ever heard of Richard Baitlick, right? Tau Security, Twitter. I read this guy a lot, and he actually has this threat-based view of the world where he likes to constantly look at the bad guy, who the bad guys are, what they want, what their capabilities are, and there's very distinct types of bad guys. If you read the Verizon report, what Richard Baitlick talks about, the different government reports, who are the bad guys and what are their capabilities are. And there's a very steady range. There is a big difference between the mass SQL injection botnet, mass SQL injection worm guys that are infecting your sites, and the other ones that are going to, let's say, Alberto Gonzalez SQL injection on Heartland, right? There's very two distinct different MOs. And you have to look at, when you're looking at your websites and something you can take home to protect your businesses, what is your risk tolerance? Who did you want to protect yourself against? Is it the mass SQL injection worm or all the way up to the Alberto Gonzalez's of the world? And there's no right answer. Pick one, follow their MO, and that's how you know what is secure enough for you, at least for today, and then it's an ongoing exercise. What we don't have nearly enough in web security is threat intel. We don't get a lot of knowledge on who the bad guys are, what their MO is, but so that's what I'd like to see more of. We're getting more of it with incident data, but we're still going to need a lot more than that.
I just got to pile onto that because I want to be, that is one philosophy. I have a different philosophy. I don't think that much about the threat-oriented view because frankly, both the examples you said are SQL injection flaws, right? I believe the right place to focus and the leverage point, like you were talking about earlier, focus on those choke points. The choke point is having great security controls in place that defend against SQL injection, and then you don't care. So, right now I think most web apps are underwater with respect to the threat that people care about. Like, I care about both guys like Albert Gonzalez and also botnets.
But not everybody does in every website.
Maybe it's my bias, as I work on, mostly pretty critical applications, but, I think we're below the level of either threat.
I'll give you an example. I'm sorry to carry on the discussion. I'll give you an example. So Zynga makes Farmville on Facebook, right? I think they generated revenue of $250 million last year. Right? And their site is riddled with SQL injection. Is anybody going to tell me that was a bad business move? $250 million making a site riddled with SQL injection that makes little Facebook apps. Farmville. That's the thing. If they might have missed their window by making it secure the first time. That's the trade-off.
So, in my world, I know it's late, but in my world, having great security controls means you roll out Farmville faster and secure. That's.
We almost have a Jerry Springer moment.
Oh wait, he's an MMA guy.
All right, well, thank you for being the panelists today, and thanks for attending, and party on.